Hello and welcome. This is Rajiv again with episode number 2 of Spinning Values podcast powered by Beekaylon Synthetics. Welcome to the show, Martin.
Thank you very much.
So we have Martin van Dam. He's in Netherlands and he's the technical guru for Beekaylon, shall we say. So without further ado, I introduce technical head of things, Mr. Martin van Dam. Martin, why don't you introduce yourself and tell the viewers what you do and your association with Beekaylon?
Right. Just to explain a little bit about myself, I have been in the yarn and the carpet manufacturing for 30 years. So my a small advantage might be that I also know the product that our customers are making from our, let's say, yarns. And I have been working for some global manufacturers in the past. So I have been working for some of our current competitors, of course. And yeah, just to explain that I have been in touch with Beekaylon since, let's say, mid of July 2019. So I did fly over to Mumbai and to have some talks with the family and with the people and their ideas about how we could establish Beekaylon in the BCF market as well. Everybody already, of course, did know Beekaylon as a supreme supplier of POY DY yarns with a 40-year history, with a very good name in the market. So that was giving me already a very comforting feeling and the idea that this could be the right connection between myself and Beekaylon. Once I visited the new factory, and when I saw the factory, it was really astonishing. Right? It was like being a child again in the candy store. It was like coming into a place where I could see that there was really a good thought about how to set up a factory with the state-of-the-art machinery. Of course, BCF is a technology where we can spin yarns with filaments and where we can say, okay, we can be very flexible in all the major parts of the end use of the yarn. Yeah, just to highlight the three biggest parts where our yarns can be used, the BCF yarns. It's contract and tile applications, residential carpet, and of course automotive industry. And automotive, I mean the flooring of the automotive industry. So the molded parts and the overmats, residential, any residential carpet you can imagine, broadloom, rugs, bath mats, anything you can think about. And in the contract application, of course, hospitality, hotels, contract tiles, carpet tiles. That was really something where I saw that, okay, this is the opportunity for me to be able to develop and to work with a company who is not only looking at today's hectic business, but also a company who was able to look at the future and to be able to see where the world is going, where our industry is going. Yeah, that was really surprisingly pleasant for me to see that. Walking into the factory just to see BCF machines, which is German machines, Neumach, which is state of the art, the best machines you can buy for money in principle. And just to explain what is BCF is in principle a yarn which you can extrude. And extrude means in principle you have a chip and the chip is melted and is pushed in principle, very simplistically explained, pushed through a spinneret. And a spinneret is a round device with all kinds of small holes. And those holes can have different shapes and a different amount. And we can play with that to see where we are going for the end use of this yarn. Depending on the end use, we can change, let's say, the number of filaments, the amount of filaments, the shape of the filaments, the detex, the thickness of the yarn we can adjust. So we had in principle already that base of machines best you can buy. Looking further in the company, also state of the art, the newest cabling machines, also German branded, Volkmann machines, which is also state of the art, perfect machines with all the devices to control the absolute quality. What is a cabling machine doing? BCF, you can use the yarn as a single yarn for certain applications. To make the yarn suitable for residential, carpet tiles, automotive, you can also twist them or air entangle them and heat set them. Heat setting, again, Superba machines, which is the best money can buy with the best stable process in the world. So my heart was beating like, oh, this is absolutely fantastic. Then walking through the factory, I came upstairs and even there it was more exciting for me because there are small sampling machines for almost all the steps in the process. So we have a development center upstairs, which allows us to not only wait for customers to tell us what they need, but also to be able to be proactive and to make samples and even make small carpets by using a kibby or an MTUF machine, which is a one needle machine, which is trying to replicate industrial machines on small scale. So instead of sending a customer only a piece of yarn, we are already able to send them a small piece of carpet where the customer can see how his end product will look like. And that was absolutely fantastic. That was step number one for me within the Beekaylon story. So we very quickly agreed that I would be their global, let's say, product development manager. So being responsible for the technical aspects and for, let's say, the developments. Having worked all over the world in principle for 30 years, I did know all the major, let's say, carpet manufacturers globally in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Asia Pacific, Asia, USA. Having worked for companies in the US, companies in Europe, companies in Asia Pacific, knowing a little bit the differences in the demands for the different areas, because the carpets you have in New Zealand or I have in Europe are different. And it's just, let's say, a matter of the market and about what customers think about it, how they use it, what is taste. Colors are, of course, always a matter of taste as well. And you see differences globally. So that was step number one. Then, of course, I also needed to be able to create the teams in the factory, right? Because you can have the best car in the world if you don't have a driver with a license, it's not going to work. So the good thing is that also within Beekaylon, we were able to create teams with a lot of experience, with a lot of knowledge about textile, but also about BCF already. And then working with the global sales teams, it was very satisfying to set up, let's say, a model where we could guarantee quality better than in any other company I've ever worked for. So we created as much as possible SOPs with the knowledge which everybody put in. Where are the bottlenecks in processes? So where are the risks of quality in the process? Where are our opportunities compared with other companies? Just to explain, let's say the three most used polymers are polypropylene, polyester, and polyamide, nylon. And those three products have their differences in applications. If you look at the PP, it's mainly used for residential and for relatively commodity products in, let's say, carpet tiles. Our machines are very suitable for all the three polymers. So we have multi-polymer BCF extrusion lines. BCF, if you look at it, it is a continuous filament, bulk continuous filament. That means that in principle, you can make carpets with a different weight and with a different application. So if you are looking at the highest end of the market, we would recommend polyamide 6. We would recommend for resilience to use that because the resilience of polyamide is higher than the resilience of polyester or PP, polypropylene. We had the advantage that we did know, of course, the market. We did know the customers, and we were able to talk with customers to give us the opportunity to sample. And looking at that, then the advantage of knowing what the customer is making is helping us. And what we thought was very important is that we have people in every region who are representing us in the proper way. So building a team to manufacture was one thing. Building a team to develop was the second part. But having a team which is also corresponding with customers on weekly basis or on monthly basis to really understand the needs of customers was really one of the major parts of the success we are having, of course. For me, it was quite easy in the beginning to say, okay, I think we will be able to fill up our total capacity within a certain time frame. And before we really worked together, I already asked, I said, listen, I am willing to invest in, let's say, in growing the company, but I need to know if we are expanding, if it's necessary. And the answer was very clear, yes, because the area which the company did buy has the opportunity to put additional buildings, to put additional factories, warehouses. So the setup was already there. And I can tell you that due to the success we had, even with the Corona situation globally, we were able to, let's say, fill up the capacity of our plant quite fast. So even some things got delayed due to the COVID restrictions, due to the fact that we could have the Zoom meetings, we had agents on the right places, we could do the sampling in the proper way. We could convince the customers that we were not only trying to sell them yarn, but we were willing to work with them on developments. So we were able to, let's say, already be proactive and work with the customers on not only today's business, but on the business of tomorrow. And that was one of the major things which I think differentiates us from, say, most of the other manufacturers. Having people inside who are capable of working with customers, doing what customers want to do, and thinking about the future. Then one of the major parts also in that whole story is that Beekaylon is really investing huge amounts of money and time in research and development. We want to be sustainable as possible. We want to be trying to even create circular products to, let's say, to look at our environment as well. We are looking at our personnel, our staff. How are we working with the staff? As an example, you might have seen that we have our programs for COVID vaccinations going on, which is really astonishing if you see what the company is trying to do to protect their most valuable asset, which is personnel, which is your staff. Your staff is your biggest asset. Like I said before, you can buy the best car in the world. If you don't know how to drive it, you will be in an accident. And our machinery is the state of the art, best money can buy. But our biggest asset is our really experienced and well-trained personnel and implementing SOPs. We have a lab. We do the tests not only when we start production, but during the whole process. Every step is tested not once, but twice to assure that whatever we send to a customer is absolutely state of the art. And if you look at how quick we were able to develop ranges with the biggest global players, right? It's absolutely fantastic. And even as we speak, we are now looking at, okay, we can make 100% recycled PET. We are working on the 100% recycled PA6. We are working on antimicrobial yarns. All those benefits we have and that proactive position that Beekaylon is taking is getting our customers excited and willing to work with us. And of course, you're only as good as your last supply. Of course, every company has an economic aspect, but our target to win competition battles is quality. And that was one of the reasons why I joined, because we are able to guarantee the best quality we can supply. And if you look at the most critical markets we are working with, customers are giving us the opportunity to work with them because of our service and quality. And that's really amazing. And they also know that once we do the business, we have running products with them, we are having the normal day-by-day supplies, but we are already working again on the products for next year. Yeah? Because achieving a good customer-supplier relationship is one thing. Keeping that is the most important one. And over the 30 years, I can really be honest, I see that we are really doing an amazing job on that. And it's all thanks to the team, right? I have worked in many companies and sometimes you see groups and it's normal, right? Everybody works in a certain area of a manufacturing company and some of them is logistics, sales, development, production. And I have never experienced a more, let's say, resolute team as I have with Beekaylon. So everybody is working together instead of only in their own small area. That's what we always try to do. So we are really looking at all the areas in the world, the differences between products, because we want to be able to supply anything in automotive, anything in residential, and anything in contract and hospitality applications that our customers need. So we want to have a very broad palette of possibilities and yarns. And having all those machines and all those possibilities, we can say that we can supply to any customer whatever he needs. So if you look at Europe, we work with the high end of the market in Europe, in Australia, New Zealand, in the USA, Japan, Asia Pacific. And it's really not because we are nice people. We are, but we are supplying, let's say, a premium product, which is always the most essential part of doing business with anybody. Being trustworthy, doing what you tell that you will do and doing it also, right? I can promise you something, but I have to keep my promise. And that's something where I am really happy with the fact what we are doing with Beekaylon. And we can supply, let's say, the highest end of the market carpet tiles producers by combining different yarns, different colors. We are able to supply anything in automotive, BA6, polyester, whatever customers need. We are able to do it in the residential market. And we are not only saying that we want to have the big volume products. Of course, you want that. But we are also looking at, let's say, the specialties, the higher end of the markets, the new developments. And as a company which has done the huge investments that Beekaylon has done, looking at factory, machines, personnel, they invested huge. And they keep on investing because we are extending already. So we have already the possibility to set machines with their own guidance systems. So everything is controlled not only by humans, but also by technology. And that was also able that makes us able to guarantee the quality on all the steps in the process and being as flexible as possible. The main target is making new developments, creating the future for our customers and ourselves, to only not have a business today, but also have the business tomorrow, and be able to already think about where the world is going, right? I don't have to explain. Everybody is looking at environment. Everybody is looking at greenhouse solutions, having less CO2 footprint in the world, being sustainable. For example, we are working with, let's say, one of the few renowned companies in the world, like DSM Niaga. Those products, Niaga, if you turn around Niaga, it says again. So those guys are really working on mutual benefits from suppliers and final customers to put up a chain of recycling. So to create, for example, a mono product where all the parts of a carpet are made from the same material, where we can collect it afterwards and reuse it, so that we don't need to use new raw materials. And especially looking at polyester, for example, where we are already doing this quite successfully. Yeah, that we are able to reuse polyester from bottle flakes, for example, all the waste which are in the oceans and the seas and whatever, we can reuse it. We don't have to go to direct polymerization to make chips again from raw material which come from our earth. And I always say you should consider waste not as waste, but as a raw material again. We don't see customers as customers, we see them as partners in a very demanding, competitive business. We always talk about spinning values. And I think that's not only a phrase for Beekaylon, that's their DNA. I think that's why it fits. That's why I am so happy to be part of this Beekaylon project.
Amazing. I mean, I think it's fascinating to hear from such a senior industry veteran like yourself being so excited and as if you have the curiosity of a young child again.
No, but it's true. It's what I said in the beginning when I walked into the first conversations and when I saw the setup. I was being this little boy again in this candy store, right? Seeing all those different possibilities. That really was amazing. And of course, also the trust I have in Beekaylon and Beekaylon's trust in me is building up such a strong relationship that is absolutely fantastic. And then having, let's say, the experience which some of our team members are having with the customers, and the customers knowing me from my past, but also knowing that I'm working with Beekaylon now, giving us the opportunity to prove ourselves is absolutely fantastic.
You make a very interesting and important point, Martin, in the sense that it is not just the products, it's the people behind the products which actually create the value. And the phrase spinning values is such a powerful concept. It actually ties into the actual product that Beekaylon produces, but also the philosophy that the founders of the company have instilled.
I always say that was one of the things where I wanted to dedicate 10 years of my life and my business experience to do that. And that only works if you work with people and with a company who is also having that same target. So it was very important to have this same mutual target with all the respect in the market for all our customers. And I also wanted to say that everybody is working very respectfully with each other. I always say that our chain of operation is as strong as the weakest link in that chain, but you can fix that in different ways. And I think we are working very respectfully with our staff, with our people, and with our customers and our suppliers.
So, just to kind of summarize the whole thing, Martin, the biggest advantage that you see going forward is that Beekaylon brings in is its number one, its value system, and number two, its focus on quality assurance, R&D, and innovation. Right. So even though there are other producers, manufacturers in India and around the world, this is what sets Beekaylon apart.
That sets us apart. Having this global team like we are having, and having the knowledge about what our customers are doing in combination with proactive development, research and development in all aspects, in sustainable products, and the amount of money that companies are willing to invest in that, we are really different from any other supplier in the world. And that's really something where I say, yes, state-of-the-art machines, the newest you can buy, the best you can buy, the best people in the world, and the best ears in the world to listen to customers, and having a view into the next decade. That combination of all those aspects are really something which makes me extremely proud and happy to be part of that.
Amazing. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Martin Van Dam from Beekaylon Synthetics. Thanks, Martin. Thanks for your time. That was an amazing conversation. I learned a lot. And it is amazing to see a global team working with an Indian company, and it's refreshing to see such words from such a global industry veteran like you. And it's pretty remarkable.